You're listening to Mark of the Maker. Hey everybody, I'm Mark Steiner and you're listening to Mark of the Maker. This is episode 123 of the show. It's a little bit smaller group today. I don't know how long this one's going to run, but we had some stuff to talk about. Sean had a thing he wanted to get into, and I think Michael and I can give some thoughts on it as well. But let's introduce who is here. So we have Mr. Sean Kendrick.
Hey.
And we have Mr. Michael Birch.
I am here.
Excellent. Tom was thinking about joining us. I wouldn't be surprised if he pops in here at some point, but we'll see. We have a number of folks we want to thank for helping us out with the show. First up, we have our friends on Patreon, Michael.
Yeah, we'd like to thank all y'all that have joined us on Patreon. It helps a ton. And you can go to patreon.com and search for Mark of the Maker and find different levels of ways to join and donate. We ship stuff back and forth. This is sort of a labor of love, but that little bit helps a ton on just some of the background stuff. We appreciate it greatly. You guys are helping us so much with that. And like I said, just go to patreon.com and look for Mark of the Maker. Thanks all.
All right, Sean, you got one?
Yeah, I'm going to give a shout out to our friends over at Giant Mouse. And love having these guys as a sponsor because I love what they do. I'm a big fan of their Jutland. I'm a big fan of the Clyde. And right now, I'm looking at the Iona V2 in red linen. It's one of the newer ones they've got up, and man, it's just a stunning piece. And as with all their stuff, the price is right. You get this piece. It's got Magna Cut, red linen, really nice functional clip for $195. Man, I mean, you'll be losing money if you don't buy it. So head over to giantmouse.com, tell them I sent you, and pick up just a great knife.
You think they meant that name? Like Iona?
No, that's her friend Vic in New York City has a bar named Iona.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Interesting, though.
Inside scoop. Nice.
Inside scoop. I have a sweatshirt from the bar, actually. It's a cool spot.
Oh, Victor Boyle?
Victor Boyd.
Boyd, yeah, that's it.
What up, Vic? All right. We also want to say thanks to Bob and Susie, Bob Terzola and his wife, Suze. They are at terzola.net, TERZUOLA.net, for their support of the show. They always have some fun stuff going on. It looks like they had a nice lineup from Bob for the Friday Night Blade Affair here recently. So check out terzola.net. They have their A Sharp Life series and a shop talk thing that you can get involved with. So lots going on there for makers and collectors. Susie's always got some fun stuff going on as well, and she has this Knife Wife podcast, which is also pretty cool. I listened to the one today during my commute with Grace Horn, who's always a treat to hear from. So check that out. The conversation with Grace was really nice. Some good insights. Yeah. So thanks, Bob and Suze. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate you guys. You rock.
We'd also like to thank knifejoy.com for supporting the podcast. Right now, they've got some Spydercos on sale. They've got some really cool exclusive VG10 Damascus Spyderco FRN handles like Delica and stuff like that for $100. That's hard to beat.
Cheap.
Yeah, real cheap. You can join their mailing list, get updates on stuff that's on sale. It's knifejoy.com. Good folks, and we appreciate them supporting the podcast.
We do. VG10 Spyderco. That's just like good shit.
They're so cool.
Yeah. All right, Sean, you're up.
All right. Well, next up is our good friends at Paladin 33. And to be honest with you, man, they've got so much cool shit. Every time we do this, I don't really know where to start. So I'm going to throw out something here, a product you should be checking out. All you guys who go to shows, we're always looking for a cool badge holder, something to carry around, you know, a pin and our badge and stuff like that in. And Paladin 33 offers a wicked cool badge holder. You can go grab one of those, all kinds of various prints that you can have, you know, show a little bit of flair. And while you're there, maybe check out the Belt Bag Mark II or any of their other great products. So want to thank Josh and his team, and just say, glad to have them on board because I really enjoy their products. And that's paladin33.com, where you can get all this nylon goodness.
More good stuff.
Yeah, thanks.
Easy way to display your requisite number of flair.
Yes.
All right. And new ad, welcome aboard to our friends from Arizona Custom Knives. And it's kind of funny, the conversation we had with Andrew, right? We talk about Arizona all the time because they're a great reference for us, to be honest. We constantly are searching there when we do historical episodes and trying to find something cool for a picks episode. And they have a very, very deep catalog of previous sales. So they always have a lot of cool stuff going on, either, directly available for sale or many times on consignment. But there's some super cool pieces in there. And like I said, there's a deep history. If you go search like Loveless, right? There's a truckload of Loveless knives. Or you search Randall there, it's just like there's a boatload of them. And sure, a whole bunch of them are sold off. But if you're looking for an idea, right, or you're looking for a little, let's say, inspiration, it's a great place to go see some work and see some fantastic stuff from a number of fabulous makers. There's a couple of Sobral Brothers Damascus buoys up there right now. They're making me drool, a little out of my price range, but they are absolutely badass, as well as a ginormous John Nelson Cooper brass back buoy. I got to stop looking at that thing. So ArizonaCustomKnives.com. Thanks for your support, folks, and welcome to the team.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Sean's going to kick us off here and talk about what we're going to talk about.
All right. What we're going to talk about is a little movie called Ghost Dog Way of the Samurai. And I can say that this is cutlery related because there is a scene in it that shows our title character, Ghost Dog, training with a katana and like a cut down kind of machete sort of thing. And it's a really cool slow-mo scene, very well shot, like the entire movie is. And what got me thinking this, I sat down, my son wanted to watch it, Shade wanted to watch it, and I'd seen it, gosh, I don't know how many times. And I sat and watched it with him and started recalling how much this movie influenced me when I first started out, and how there are quotes peppered throughout the movie that really stuck with me, and I used them as motivation and a way to modify my mindset when I was starting to learn and, trying to keep momentum and all of that stuff. So really, I guess this is just an excuse to turn people on to the movie and talk a little bit about the quotes that meant so much to me at the time and still do. Looking back on it, they mean as much to me now as when I started.
I have not actually seen this movie. I've read the synopsis of this movie, but I haven't seen it, so I'm going to have to go out and find it. Where can I find it, Sean? Do you have any idea?
Let's see. Where did we streamed it from somewhere? Okay. We streamed it on Max, I believe.
Oh, okay. Birch, you've seen this before, you said.
I have.
Okay. Let's chop it up a little bit. Actually,
I'll give you a brief, really, really, really brief synopsis of the movie because I don't want to risk spoiling anything, because if you do watch it, I think most of our listeners will enjoy it. It's a really artfully done, I think it sells it short to call it a mob movie because it's a bit more than that. Our main character, Ghost Dog, is a hitman for the mob in some rundown urban town. It was filmed in New Jersey. They never say where it is, though. But gives kind of a bleak look of the mob, at least mobsters that are past their prime and not rich by any stretch of the imagination anymore. Their best days are behind them. But Ghost Dog is loyal. He follows the way of the samurai, and he views himself as a retainer to the one dude in the mob who did him a solid at one point in time, and treats him as if he were his master in feudal Japan, because Ghost Dog follows the way of the samurai as laid out in the book The Hagakure by Yamamoto Tsunetomo. And that book is really where the inspirational mindset stuff comes from for me, because they take quotes from the book and intersperse it throughout the movie to set up scenes and themes.
Okay.
So we'll start out. This was one of the quotes that really, it did me a lot of good. So, it is bad when one thing becomes two. One should not look for anything else in the way of the samurai. It is the same for anything else that is called a way. If one understands things in this manner, he should be able to hear about all ways and be more and more accord with his own. And man, that one hit me hard. It was like, okay, if you can understand one way, you can understand many ways. And if you can understand another way, then you'll understand your way even better. And the more often you do that, the more understanding you'll have in all matters. And from a design standpoint, it got me thinking, when I really started thinking, I don't need to look at just other knives to try and draw inspiration. I can look all around me. Inspiration's everywhere if you think of it that way.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep, for sure.
And just being able to take from all different ways and integrate them into your own. Because all ways are the same.
I like the concept. And like you said, oftentimes it has entirely to do with how you approach things, right? And that definitely tries to broaden your mind into more than just what's obvious, right? Or pulls you outside of your what's the right way to say it? Outside your lane a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And now, man, going through this, I don't want anybody to think that I'm thinking, oh, I'm some kind of samurai cool guy bullshit. That's the thing. I'm not a samurai. I'm a knife maker. But looking at the mindset of this guy who was a samurai and being able to understand some of the things he said and see how they apply to my circumstance and my way as a knife maker, that's where I'm coming from with how this stuff was inspirational for me. And as we get more into quotes, you'll see a little more mindset and where all that fits in.
Michael, you have any thoughts on that particular one?
It's hard not to be like, well, I'm not that person, but yeah, we draw quotes from things and that are exciting and cool because that's what inspires us, not because we don't draw from the shitty stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I read this one throwaway book, but there was a sentence that was awesome. That ain't what sticks with you,
Yeah.
Yeah. But did you even mention that it's Forrest Whitaker playing the part? I don't know if you said that or not.
I did not. And a masterful performance by Forrest Whitaker, I got to say. It's very nuanced.
Yeah. No, he does a good job. Does a real good job.
Jim Jarmusch directed it.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think of some other stuff Jarmusch has directed.
Dead Man.
Dead Man's fantastic. Mystery Train.
Movies.
Stranger Than Paradise. Oh, and Coffee and Cigarettes.
Yeah.
Coffee and Cigarettes. Fantastic.
I like it, Sean. I like where this is going to go. I can feel it.
Okay, this is a cool quote, and this quote to me is a mindset quote. And let me read the quote, and then I'll get into how the mindset I applied it to myself. According to what one of the elders said, taking an enemy on the battlefield is like a hawk taking a bird. Even though it enters into the midst of 1,000 of them, it gives no attention to any bird other than the one that it has first marked. And the way I took that and used it, and what it represented to me was keeping focus, singular vision. Once you have decided what you are going to do, what your ultimate goal is, keeping focus on that, moving straight forward and not letting anything throw you off of that focus, no matter what may pop up on the side of the road on the way to getting there.
Yeah, universal mindset stuff.
Yeah. And so much of this stuff, the quotes that really meant the most to me. If you look at them outside of the context of, oh, it's cool because they're talking about battle and they're talking about, dueling and whatnot, it's all universal stuff if you look at it from an almost generic perspective.
Do you think, so when you walked through that, and I'm thinking about knife stuff anyway, that I was going to make some crack about Michael and getting off on a rabbit hole and not letting go of it. Maybe this applies to that. Maybe that's this plus a bunch of other stuff.
No, I could totally see that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah. Like I said, universal mindset stuff, right? I think any interview you read with someone who's really good at anything, right? Sports, business, technology, whatever. It's people that can find and maintain that kind of focus are in many cases people that are simply unwilling to fail, right?
Yeah.
And having that as a driver is pretty powerful, right? It's come up enough times in stuff I've read about people that I've found inspirational that, you know, it seems to be like I said, a universal thing.
One of the ways I noticed it kept me focused, because coming in, you know, you're beset on all sides with guys who are your friends, but you see like one guy, and he's got talent, but he's like, oh, well, I'm going to do this and this and this, and then I can really get started. And it's a lack of focus, getting caught on side quests, especially getting caught on side questing that early into the process. That don't do. You need to have your eye on the prize and keep it there.
But side quests are fun.
They can be quite fun, but now when you're starting out, you want to know what's the most what's the most beneficial, getting down the basics and getting them down right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dude, how many guys when you were coming up came up beside you and it was always, well, you know, I'll get started once I build my grinder, and oh, I'll get started once I do this, or I'll get started once I do that. When all they needed to do to get started was to fucking start.
Yeah. Well, I think the quote, a lot of these quotes resonate with you because the book The Samurai is about discipline, and it's about finding your way either through your life or through battle, which is what we're doing when we're making stuff, where we have to get to the end of it, and it isn't easy. And I've come across something not too long ago that was kind of different for me. They're talking about the difference between motivation and discipline. Motivation goes away, but what you got to have is discipline to keep going. And I was like, holy shit, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, stop making so much sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, thank you for sharing that. I'd never looked at it that way, but that's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the aspect you were thinking about, Sean, like the musicians often call it woodshedding, right? Like where they don't lose focus on the fact that they need to continue to build their skill. And that's a core thing. And yeah, you can go, you know, improvise and do whatever, but there's a discipline, right? There's a discipline to sticking with continuing to hone your art or your work or your talent or your skill, right?
Yeah.
And as a newer maker, right, that's what builds the base of what you're going to do. Ideally, I think for anybody over a long career, right? Whether it's as a career as a hobby maker or as a full-time guy, right?
Definitely.
Good.
Okay. This one stuck with me. In the words of the ancients, one should make his decisions within the space of 7 breaths. It is a matter of being determined and having the spirit to break through to the other side. And I took that one to heart. Like, it's kind of like, don't get caught up in the minutia. Make up your mind and fucking do it. Because you're never going to have, you know, the perfect opportunity. The stars aren't ever going to align completely right. Make up your mind, do the damn thing, and commit to it.
Yeah.
Don't drag your feet. Don't second guess yourself. Just do it.
Yeah. I think that's real important. And that's something my young daughter's having a problem with right now is decision making. And like she gets caught in this loop of not being able to make a decision.
Yeah.
And then being upset that it's not going to be the right decision. When like right now you're making the wrong decision by not making any at all. You could have already went on and done what you needed to do. Would have been the wrong one? Who knows? But you're not going to know until you do it.
Exactly. And even if
It
it's the
can be-
wrong decision, well, you can learn from it.
Yeah, there's always something to be learned from any decision you make. And I don't know, I get caught up in that same thing too of like material choices where I'm like, oh, this needs to be the perfect knife, the perfect version of this knife, which it doesn't have to be. It just has to be good for one person. That's really all that matters. It doesn't have to be the coolest version of that knife ever made. It just needs to appeal to a few people. Theoretically one, and that's it. So fucking make a decision and move on.
Yeah. I think a lot of people get caught in that trap, the indecision trap, right? And it's easy, and I think so often, it's goes by a bunch of different names, right? In the world I work in, right? Paralysis by analysis is a common lingo for it, right? Like you'd spend so much time wringing your hands about a decision, right? And going over it and over it and over it and trying to get more data, trying to have more conversations. And all the while the clock is ticking, right? And your competitor is busy eating your fucking lunch. So, there's like a honest to goodness business mindset piece of it there. That's like, I listened to another podcast today that was with a racing driver, and the interviewer asked him, hey, beyond the whole, having driving skill, what do you think made you great at what you do? And he said, without question, my relentless need to just fucking get on with it. Right? Like, okay, this isn't exactly the situation I wanted to be in. I'm not driving exactly the race car I wanted to be driving. I'm not exactly on the team that I wanted to be on. But guess what? My job is the same, to go win. So let's go. And that's a constant frustration for me in my job, is when I see people and teams wringing their hands, right? That's the way I always describe it, right? It's this constant hand wringing thing, and it's like, no, let's go, right? Get enough data, and you have to be willing to do something that sometimes is described as failing forward, right? And I think that's in some ways kind of what you were saying to Harper, right? Is make your decision, do the thing, and if it's not the right thing, you're going to learn something from it, and that's okay, and keep going, right? Pick another path and let's go. And chances are your second choice will be better than your first choice because of what you learned. And it doesn't feel good that you don't succeed at what you want, or it doesn't come out exactly the way you hope, but sometimes you just have to get on with it. So,
yeah, for sure.
Good one, Sean. I like that one.
All right, so for our next one, among the maxims on Lord Naoshige's wall, there was this one: matters of great concern should be treated lightly. Master Ite commented, matters of small concern should be treated seriously. And I took that from a fit and finish standpoint, that, the smallest detail should be taken as seriously as the biggest.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, really, I do. There's a lot to unpack on that one, and it's just 2 fucking sentences.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and all of these are, right, easily applicable to just about anything.
Anybody doing anything, exactly. Even if you're not doing anything, there's life lesson stuff there.
Yeah, for sure. I like that.
Like that one is so applicable in so many ways. It's like, where do you start? So I just threw out, that's how I applied it specifically to knife making. Yeah. That one has held me in good stead. Like, dude, it's setting up at my first show. I kept matters of great concern should be treated lightly. I kept telling myself that.
Is that almost like a soothing anxiety mantra?
Yeah, definitely it was. Don't sweat this shit. It's going to be what it's going to be.
Yeah. I think this is a thing that people don't spend enough time doing, which is actually paying attention to words like this, or honest to goodness, no kidding introspection, right? On like, what can I do to do better at my job, at being a husband, as being a dad, at, you know what I mean? Being a good human being, whatever that comes down to. I think there's this funky stigma about, it's super lame or not a time well spent to spend time on that stuff. And I completely disagree with that. I don't spend enough time on that. And I think most people don't. That's just my opinion.
I think people spend more time talking about doing it than actually doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get so fucking tired of the social media platitudes of self-growth and shit like that. And just, I don't know. But there's got to be a healthier way. I probably spend too much time thinking about what I'm doing and who I am. And I don't know. I'm probably on the opposite side of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It goes in lots of different directions, right? It can be weird too. Like people spend a lot of time thinking about what other people think, right? And sweating that kind of stuff. And that's not what I'm talking about, right?
No.
It's actually the opposite, right? Totally inside, looking back at yourself and, not in a tear yourself down kind of way, but like, let's just break this down, right? And it's tied up in human emotion and, insecurities and all kinds of other stuff. So I think for a lot of people, it has a little dangerous feel to it, right? Because it's like, ooh, wait a second, right? I got to think about who I am and what I'm doing and whether it's really the right thing or not. Ooh.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Not easy.
To paraphrase, it's easier to pick the speck out of somebody else's eye than to pull the beam out of your own.
Yep. Absolutely.
Now, this next one, man, one of my favorites. It's just a badass quote. It's easy to like this one. Even if a samurai's head were to be suddenly cut off, he should still be able to perform one more action with certainty. If one becomes like a revengeful ghost and shows great determination, though his head is cut off, he should not die. And man, I took that one just as a commentary on determination.
Mm-hmm.
Maintaining your focus and being so singular in your focus that nothing will stop you, period.
Yep. Total warrior mindset stuff that every successful athlete or whatever lives in and out every day, right?
Yeah. And like I said, all this stuff is pretty well applicable across the board. It doesn't matter if you're a knife maker or janitor or fucking fashion designer or an engineer. It don't matter.
To a healthy degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
That's
to be honest,
also,
now, man, I recommend just picking up a copy of the Hagakure and reading through that motherfucker. Like, my copy is dog-eared. There's little bits of paper in it as bookmarks sticking out from all angles because there's just so much good stuff in it, especially if you look at it, I'm not a samurai, but there is a lot of wisdom in here that I can apply to my non-samurai way still.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, some of these things that we take and we apply to our life can also be harmful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, especially if looked at through the wrong lens or with the wrong perspective.
Yeah. You have to remember some of these things he's saying, some of these ideas were also to perpetuate a fighting man who would give his life and do nothing but fight. And sometimes that's like kind of detrimental what we're doing, as a, regular person.
Oh, well, dude, okay, I'm going to do this quote. And this is one I don't think a lot of people should do. The way of the samurai is found in death. Meditation on inevitable death should be performed daily. Every day when one's body and mind are at peace, one should meditate upon being ripped apart by arrows, rifles, spears, and swords, being carried away by surging waves, being thrown into the midst of a great fire, being struck by lightning, being shaken to death by a great earthquake, falling from 1,000-foot cliffs, dying of disease or committing seppuku at the death of one's master. And every day without fail one should consider himself as dead. This is the substance of the way of the samurai.
Yeah.
That's one most folks probably should take with a grain of salt, some more so than others.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, that one's, I know that's why you read it then, Sean, right? That speaks directly to Birch's point, right?
Exactly. I wasn't even going to read that one because it's not really applicable to conversation, but
yeah, it's metal as fuck.
Yeah.
It is now. Oh yeah, dude, totally fucking metal.
Right.
It is. But it was also in the mentality of building a fighting man, a
right.
man who doesn't care. Just wants
A willingness to commit yourself to a course of action, even if it means death.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Just like any fighter, right? The suspension of any concept of self-preservation, right? Required for ultimate success at the task.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Give us another juicy one.
Yeah, man.
When one has made a decision to kill a person, even if it will be very difficult to succeed by advancing straight ahead, it will not do to think about going at it in a long, roundabout way. The way of the samurai is one of immediacy, and it is best to dash in headlong.
Ooh.
And I took that as meaning, commit to the action, carry the action through.
Yeah. No hesitation.
None. And, don't try to roundabout it. Like, I've got to do to get from A to B, I have to throw in an X, Y, and Z. Well, no, you just need to go from A to B.
No, these are all
That
really
applies
good.
to a lot.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Michael?
That applies to a lot. I don't know. Just go. Just do it.
No, a lot to be said for immediacy, especially in the world we currently live in, with how fast everything moves and how quickly it seems everything changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes back to that second guessing or decision making too. It's the same kind of idea of just fucking do it, man.
It's
Stop
a fucking
talking.
straight gangster way to put it too, right?
Yeah. And, like with all this stuff, right? There's like a reasonableness sense check ceiling, right? on all of it. Like, okay, you shouldn't make rash decisions where you don't think shit out. At the same time, right? You shouldn't spend a week trying to decide what you're going to have for lunch.
Yeah, no paralysis by analysis.
Exactly.
But from a tactical standpoint, someone throwing themselves at another person throws them off. That person may be killed, but the next one may have a better chance. So
right.
It is a good mindset for someone, once again, going to war.
Right.
It is perfect for that.
Yep.
Yeah, and now a little bit of historical perspective. The text was written in the waning days of the samurai. So, and he was drawing from a long, long lineage of, information that had been passed down basically orally, an oral tradition, and this guy decided to write it down. The actual Hagakure itself is incredibly long. The version that you can find on Amazon, it's, I think, 75, 80 pages. But there's, I think, well over 1,000 quotes in it altogether.
Yeah.
Probably, maybe 1,300, 1,400 different quotes in it. But the version you can get on Amazon, it's worth buying. Definitely worth buying. It takes the choicest nuggets and presents them to the reader.
So you talked about one of the earlier quotes, kind of relating it to fit and finish stuff and, being able to keep a focus. What other kind of stuff do you look to for inspiration for your work that you do?
Always music.
Yep.
Like I can come up with a name and then design around a name, basically.
Yeah.
Which I need to do more of that. I got to get back to drawing. I haven't drawn in a moment.
Yeah.
I feel like that's all I've done is draw. Which, if I want to be honest with myself, it also is a way to procrastinate. It's a sneaky way, but it is a way.
Yeah.
But still, you're banking up ideas.
Well, I get these. They get stuck like a fucking kernel of corn in my teeth, and if I don't get it out some way, draw it, then it just rattles. It rattles around.
Maddening.
It is. It really is. Once again, kids, don't be like me.
Did you listen to the Clips show, Michael, from the Pacific
Northwest? I
Northwest?
haven't yet.
You should listen to that. There's a really good part in there with Luke Burnley on exactly that.
Yeah.
On what's in his head and how he deals with it. And your name came up once or twice. You should listen to that. It was very good. Very interesting conversation.
No, I was busy listening to a book that I thought I hadn't finished, but come to find out I'd finished the whole thing. those.
So music, Sean, I know different people, movies. Yeah. What about you, Michael? I know you look lots of different directions for.
It's a lot of cars.
Yeah.
It's a lot of houses.
Yeah.
Furniture. It's all that put together. As far as like actual design elements, I draw a lot from cars. I can't not. There's so many beautiful lines, and it's not like I don't think I take like usually not a certain line, except for that one we attempted to do, but it's usually just ideas, depth, how lines come together, how textures and different shapes come together, and that's what sticks with me.
Yeah.
And it gets, like I said, stuck till it comes out. And sometimes they don't. Sometimes it doesn't work because you're trying to model that around something that has to work. I mean, that's its first job, is to be a knife and to work properly. And sometimes you can't make it work. Then it just sits in the back, goes in the back of the file cabinet.
Yeah.
So you either get better skills or just doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, it's funny. Michael and I and Justin Laffer have a Instagram chat that is filled with cool shapes and lines. That's what I think that should probably be called.
Pretty much is. I send you guys a lot of mid-century modern furniture, weird houses, Art Nouveau, anything.
Yeah, man.
A lot of weird electronic shit, like nostalgic electronic shit lately.
Yeah.
I don't know where that's going to take me design-wise, because I always, if I get into something, it will come out as a knife sometime, at some point. It's not if, it's when.
Right.
So anytime I see myself looking at something, I know it's going to come out into something later on.
Yeah.
So you get some sort of visual representation of my process, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it goes to that comment or the discussion earlier about using your eyes, right? Paying attention, looking at things, and not always for what they obviously are, right? Sometimes what they aren't, obviously. So
yeah, when we're talking about the spacing of the spacing of screws and things like that. Yeah, look at the overall.
Right.
Now, I just want to say, when Sean was talking about Ghost Dog, I really just got excited because I just want to talk about Dead Man.
Go for it. It's a fantastic flick.
And what a glorious movie it is. I think that is his greatest movie he's made. Definitely my top 10.
Wow.
Oh, fuck yeah. Black and white, but not in a pretentious lighthouse type of black and white. I think it was 94, 95, something like that. Johnny Depp.
95.
And he is named William Blake. And Gary Farmer is the Native American following him called Nobody, who believes he actually is William Blake. So there's a ton of William Blake quotes in it. And it's fantastic. It is a journey of almost like a Greek type of, tragedy sort of thing. It's interesting. I think it's a must watch by everyone out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth your time.
Oh,
Actually,
for sure.
just thinking about it, I know what movie we'll be watching Saturday night.
And the soundtrack is just Neil Young. It's just not singing, just Neil Young plucking away these funky chords that just draw you in.
Yeah.
Well, Jim Jarmusch always knows how to put together the soundtrack for a movie.
Yes.
Like the soundtrack for Ghost Dog is stellar if you like hip hop.
Well, yeah. It didn't it have RZA in it?
RZA, right? Yeah.
No, he was the musical producer on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dead Man's got a hell of a cast, man.
Oh, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's cool. And there's times when you actually laugh but it's very deep, it's filled with metaphor, and I don't know. The William Blake quotes are fantastic in it.
Oh, dude, it's artful without being pretentious. It really is.
I mean, some are born to Sweet Delight, some are born to Endless Night. That one goes through my head all the time.
Yeah.
I think that's the Auguries of Spring or something, that poem.
I like the categorization in Wikipedia is American acid Western film.
That covers it pretty well.
Yeah. Hey, when a film's got a cultural allusions, ALLUSIONS section, that's solid.
Nice.
I've not seen either of these.
Ooh,
Yeah.
you are in for a treat.
There we go. Double header. Double feature. I'd be interested to see if Amy could sit through that. Maybe.
You got to be in a mood.
Yeah, right. I think, it's hard to be someone who makes stuff like you guys do without absorbing a bunch of inspiration from a bunch of different directions, right? Because, that's how you get to, I think, a distinctive design style. I don't believe that it's completely organic in a vacuum, right?
It can't be.
Right. Yeah.
No, not to have
I don't think
anything
art
even
works that
remotely
way.
resembling originality.
Right.
If you're out in the woods and you start pulling from the trees or leaves you see, there's always something you're pulling from.
All right. Anything else we want to hit on this one before we wrap her up, fellas?
No. Hopefully I've intrigued folks to watch the movie or check out the book or both. If I have, my mission here is complete.
I think you've hit a number of chords with different things, whether it's book readings or Warhammer or a whole bunch of different stuff. People like it.
Yeah, I started noticing like Warhammer stores now.
Yeah?
They're out there.
Yeah,
All
it's a
right.
pretty big deal.
It is a pretty big
Yes, it
deal.
is. And that's just here in the States, dude. It's a whole different breed of cat in England.
All right. We should thank our sponsors again, our friends at Patreon, Giant Mouse, Bob and Sue's Terziola, Knife Joy, Paladin 33, and our new supporters here from Arizona Custom Knives. We appreciate all of you. And, our buddy Chris Taylor, we just the other day here, he ended up in the hospital, like transported to the hospital, right? So Chris is back home feeling better, I think, or hopefully on the mend. And Chris, we've been thinking about you, buddy. I'm glad you're at least home. He had, I think, some ulcer stuff going on. So hope you're doing okay, Chris. We've been thinking about you a bunch.
Yeah, but heal up quick.
And we need to talk about the passing of a fellow knife maker, Eric Luther. It seems like, and this may go with some of the stuff we've talked about. I feel like we have to talk about the passing of someone way too often.
Yeah.
And this one, it's just, Eric was a good dude. We would talk on the phone. He was very open. Like I've said before, I'm very dumb about like Fusion, Cam. He's very helpful. He didn't give a shit if I called about any dumb question about Fusion. He would be there to answer it. He was a giving dude. Very nice. He had a very distinct style of knife making. He didn't try to, be something. Didn't try to like fit into this kind of, the shapes and stuff we see a lot. He did his own thing, which was very cool to see. And recently he passed, and our condolences to his family. And we've been very open about mental health, and I will be even more open, I guess, in the future, because I don't want to see this happening again.
No.
If there's anything at all you want to talk about this kind of weird world we're in of knife making, where there's a lot of, I guess, anything you do that you love, that you care about, that has to do with art or whatever, it's kind of hard on our minds. Inadequacies or perceived inadequacies, or how am I comparing to whatever. Just reach out, talk to me anytime, or anyone. Just please reach out and ask for help in any way you can. This is never the answer, and it leaves a hole that isn't worth it. So, like I said, our condolences, and please treat yourselves better out there. Give yourselves some grace. That's all.
Yeah.
And I want to say, if you don't feel comfortable talking to someone you know, or you don't have anyone that you can talk to, dial 988. There is always someone there to talk to. There's someone there who will do their best to help you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Please.
For sure. Like you said, our condolences to Eric's family, and terrible loss. All right. Thanks everybody for listening and walking through this one with us. Lots to think about.
Yeah, thank you folks for indulging me. I certainly appreciate it.
We'll talk to y'all next time.
Thanks all.
Later.
To learn more about our makers, you can find Tom Crine on the web at crineknives.net, in his Facebook group, Crine Knives, or in his Instagram account, @CrineKnives. For Michael Birch, check birchtreeblades.com, Facebook group Birch Tree Blade Works, or Michael's Instagram @BirchTreeBlades. For myself and the Raygun Bead Project, we're on the web at raygundivision.com. We have a Facebook group called Raygun Division, or my personal Instagram @msteiner. For those interested in photos, references from the show, or some discussion about the show itself, you can find us on the web at markofthemaker.com, in a Facebook group called Mark of the Maker, or on our Instagram @markofthemaker. Last but not least, the ultra cool and haunting background music we use for the show is a piece called Noir Guitar by Stevie's Amp Shack, found at the Free Music Archive and licensed under Creative Commons CC BY 4.0. Thanks for listening.